All right, I'm back. Going to be interviewing newly crowned WBA junior middleweight champion Hannah Rankin very shortly. Link's already been sent out. We're going to do a live Q&A about the future of the junior middleweight division, what she plans to do in the following year, 2022. Some tidbits, some trivia. I'm obviously going to ask her about last night's fight. I think everybody's still reacting to that because last night's fight was just crazy. I still don't believe it. I was goody concha, que lo que? It's crazy out here, man. Couple of questions for the newly crowned WBA 154-pound champion, the future of the division, and what she plans to do in the year of 2022. And obviously going to ask about last night's fight because I think that everybody's just kind of still, wow. You know what I mean? Like, they're the unexpected. They don't say that for no reason. We'll just wait. The link has already been sent out. She'll be joining us shortly. And here she is. Everyone, I'd like to introduce to you the newly crowned WBA junior middleweight champion, Hannah Rankin. How are you doing?
Hello. Hello. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. So I guess first question, I ask everybody about this. I'm sure you've been asked about this before. The 3-minute round. You as a professional boxer, having been around the sport for many, many years, as a contender and now as a champion, what do you think about the 3-minute round? Would you like to see that third minute incorporated into the round?
Personally, I would love to have 3-minute rounds. I think it would really suit me as a fighter. I also think, it'd be really good for women to have the lack of comparison. We fight 2 minutes, the guys fight 3. I just think it'd be easy to make it the same across the board. And if they can't do that, then maybe allow 12-2s for world title fights, because I think we need the development in the sport to happen. It's the same for a Commonwealth and a European as it is for a world title, number of rounds wise. So we need some sort of differentiation. And for me, 3-minute rounds would be great. You just have a little bit more time to do stuff. But I think the public like 2 minutes. It's a bit more of a sprint. And now that the public are more involved in women's boxing, I think they're enjoying having 2-minute rounds, and it's fast paced, it's exciting. So, there's an argument for both, but for me, 3-minute rounds would be wonderful.
Yeah, I have to admit, as a fan, the virtue of the 3-minute round is exactly like the 2-minute round. It's exactly like you said, that it's more fast paced, it's less time to work, but you get more action, which makes for a better aesthetic, better product. So I do agree.
Yeah.
There's pros and cons to both. That being said, you're a champion now. You're one of 4 champions in the junior middleweight division. Patricia Pagul, she won the WBC title yesterday.
Yep.
Marie-Eve Dicaire, I believe she will pick up the IBF. She hasn't picked it up yet, but I believe that she will. And I believe Clarissa Shields still holds the WBO title at this weight, though I believe very soon she could vacate it because she's up there at middleweight now. Are unifications a part of your immediate future in 2022 now that you're a champion yourself?
Obviously, as a champion, I would love to unify the division. It's an exciting division, the super welterweight division. And obviously, with Patricia picking up the WBC last night, I definitely would love that rematch. That's something I've been calling for. I've not had it. She's hidden in Sweden for the last 2 years and avoided doing anything. So for me, that's a fight I really want, and I think it will definitely be made. You can't hide now that you've got a belt. So I want that unification fight. And like you said, I think Marie-Eve Dicaire picks up the IBF, and that's another exciting fight. So yeah, no, it's all to play for, and in 2022 I'd definitely like to be unifying.
All right. Now I don't know, because of the time zones, whether or not you saw last night's fight between Teofimo Lopez, George Kambosos. It's on everybody's mind, and most people look at it as almost a cautionary tale. You as a fighter, how did you interpret that fight? What did it look like to you?
I think it looked like to me that Teo and his team underestimated Kambosos Jr. I think they went in there, there was going to be light work, easy work. They're going to get him out in a couple of rounds, and they was just going to be over. And I don't really think they planned for the level of preparation and the desire that Kambosos Jr. had when he got in that ring. And he had such strong belief in himself, him and his team. It's been delayed and delayed and delayed. And he's just been getting better and better and better in the gym. He's been using his time wisely and super focused. And you should never, ever underestimate the underdog. 100% not, because their desire is is overwhelmingly large, you know, when it comes to a fight like that. And it was all to play for him. So I think they underestimated it, and they just didn't. They weren't very respectful of what he could do in the ring.
I agree. It did very much seem like the way that he came out guns blazing, throwing haymakers, throwing just heavy leather, didn't set up the punches. And you kind of got the sense that, well, I guess you were banking on hitting him with one single shot and getting him out of there. And no, he's here to box. He's here to win.
Yeah, no, there's some real skill on show from Kambosos Jr. And, you know, he took it all in his stride. He took the big punches, you know, and he was perfect. His distance was amazing. It was really impressive. He was always in range to, like, you know, looking for that counter, focused, and his defense was very good as well. So, yeah, when Teo came out with, like, just throwing those massive punches in the first round, I was just like, you're going to get hit. You're going to get hit. You're going to get knocked down. And there it came. It was right there.
Literally the same thing. I'm like, yo, he gotta chill out, because if he swings and misses, he can get caught and and that's exactly what happened.
Absolutely. And you don't go looking for the knockout. We're always told that, and he knows that. I think they got too involved in the hype in the lead up to it, you know, that sort of like the build up, and you never ever underestimate an opponent, never ever. And yeah, Kambosos Jr. did that. He pulled it all out.
So it's a very exciting moment, I think, for many different countries in boxing right now. You know, because George, he's from Australia. Now you from Scotland. We've got Josh Taylor, undisputed champion at 140. We've got you at 154, WBA champion. It's nice to see everybody getting that moment in the limelight, because most of the boxing used to be centered around America, but now we're seeing there's fighters all over the world, and they're very good. What's it like to be a woman in boxing, a champion in boxing right now?
Do you know, it's a really exciting time right now for us. I'm just so excited to be at the forefront of the change. I feel like we're kind of riding the front of the wave, and everything's changing for us. Like suddenly, actually, the pandemic probably did us a massive favor. We're probably the only women's sport that it really helped. But for us, we suddenly had a captive audience at home. Eddie was putting on world title fights for women on his card in the Garden. And like, we had a captive audience. They weren't going anywhere. They couldn't say, oh, it's the chicks fight, we'll go to the bar. It was like, oh, we're stuck at home, we might as well watch it. And a lot of people who don't normally watch boxing or go to boxing actually were like, oh, it's live sport, we're going to watch it. And so suddenly you had like the general public talking about women in the sport. And that was really exciting. So yeah, I think now that people know about it and they've had a chance to see us, they're now excited to see what we're all doing. There are people talking about the women's fights, you know, and on most of the cards, like, in fact, all of those fights in the Garden were exciting fights. Like even mine, Savannah's, it was a WBC dramatic fight of the year. Like it was just all of them. They had something exciting going on, and everybody remembers them.
That being said, there have been a number of very good fights in recent memory this year. Shannon Courtney versus Jamie Mitchell. Don't know if you saw it, but if you did, how do you evaluate Shannon's chances of getting that belt back? Because apparently she said she had a ruptured ACL, and that's kind of how does that sound to you? What do you make of that?
So personally, I think we should go back to the actual weigh-in when she failed to make weight defending her world title. I don't think there's an excuse for that. I just genuinely don't. And as another female fighter, using your period as an excuse for that, like we all have to deal with that. It's part of life. It's just what we have to get on with. And the fact that she didn't make weight, and she didn't look like she'd been trying to make weight before she got on the scales. It seemed like it was a bit of a surprise to them straight off the bat. And they were like, oh no, we were on weight the night before. And I was like, did you actually check? So then it was like, oh, well, it came on last minute. And I was like, yeah, these things are all part of it. But as a female fighter, you have to take that into some sort of control yourself. And you have to, if it had been me, I would have been on the treadmill, sweating it out as much as possible until I got the scales. And then even then it was like a pound over. I only had a pound to lose, you know? I just don't understand. I think it's really disrespectful to your opponent and to boxing in general to turn up and be overweight. I'm just not a fan of that. But also, she's obviously wanting the rematch and saying that she had a ruptured ACL. And obviously, we can only take Shannon's word for that. And that, if that's true, I feel really sorry for her. And she's definitely got to get it fixed. But again, take nothing away from Jamie Mitchell. She boxed a great fight, and she really showcased her talent and her skills, and she's a deserving champion.
Yeah, because when I heard Shannon say what she said, obviously I'm going to be hesitant to say anything because I'm not going to know. You know, I'm not going to know. I'm a dude. What am I going to know? So I didn't
Yeah,
know if that was a legitimate reason that she gave for having blown the weight, or. But I saw so many other people. Like I think I saw Carly Skelly chime
yeah.
in on it. That like, look, that's BS. Everybody has the same responsibility to make that weight as a woman fighter. It's the same for everyone. So that's BS. And I just didn't know what to make of that. But,
Well,
you
I
know,
think to be honest, so you do gain weight when you come on your period, but like in my personal experience, I always gain weight right before I'm due to come on. So she should have known if she'd been checking weight that was going to happen. So that's why I was really surprised when she was like, "Oh, surprise! I woke up and I'm this much heavier," and I was like, "I would have known that." And then usually when I come on, I get lighter. So it's kind of and I think
it's
that's why a lot of female fighters are a bit kind of like they're not so sympathetic about it because, and like Michaela Mayer said, she'd be on the treadmill sweating it off. Like I just felt that it was. I think they were surprised on the scales. I don't believe they knew about it before she got on the scales because if they had, surely she should have been trying to get it off.
yeah, they
Um,
gave I saw that they gave her about 2 hours to try and make it. And
yeah,
and the story is because you know, 'cause I wasn't there, but the story was no, she just said, no, it's okay. She wasn't gonna try to make it. Kind of took me by surprise, man.
yeah. I mean, obviously, if there had been a knee injury, then maybe that was why she didn't try and make it. But then she then claimed that she was out all night the night before in a sweatsuit, trying to sweat it off, running around Liverpool. And I'm like, if you've got a knee injury and then you apparently knew the night before, but you didn't know the night before,
I dig it. I think, like, look, yeah, a lot of it. The most I can say as a spectator in this spectator sport is that it
yeah.
was very unconvincing. It wasn't very convincing.
Yeah, I think a lot of other fighters thought that too. And if you're going to be a world champ, like to become a world champion, you've got to work hard to get there. And then when you have to defend it and represent yourself, like just make weight. And I know it is hard. Like time of the month does change a lot of things for female fighters. It is a discussion that people should be having. The WBC allow extra weight allowance for the time of the month. They do allow that. They're the only governing body that do. But then it's what came with it, like I didn't know, but I did know, but I went and ran, but I wasn't running. That's all the stuff that came with it. It was a lot of excuses, and I think people are just like, not got
It's not.
time for that.
It's not very convincing. Do you like her chances to perhaps win the title back? Because I've watched her since she went pro. I know that she's very good at being a moving target. She's got a good set of feet. In that fight, I didn't see her move as much as she normally does. Do
Yeah.
you think that she could win the title back on the premise that the ACL was ruptured?
I think Shannon has really improved as a pro as she's gone through. I do think that Jamie Mitchell boxed really, really well, and I think Shannon would have to do quite a lot to kind of take that belt back off her. In my opinion, I think she's got a chance if she can get, obviously, if the knee's fixed and all of that. And then we see more of like the movement she had in her last fight, like much before that. Like it was definitely an improvement. Upper body movement was good. So obviously there was something up for her, and maybe everything just really got to her, and she just couldn't focus on the time and things like that. But I'd like to, if we see the rematch and we're back to seeing Shannon like we saw a couple of fights before, then maybe it's more of a competitive fight.
Okay, we have a super chat here. Let me just read what this says. Oh, well, Teofimo could be screwed if he gets dropped by Top Rank. Yeah, that's a conversation for another day. I mean, right now I'm still kind of in shock, to be completely honest, because it was something that was conceivable that could happen. When you look past the guy, this can
So
happen.
so weirdly, me and my coach, like way back when that fight was announced, both of us said, "Ooh, that's a good fight." Kambosos he could do that. And everyone thought we were freaking nuts. Like everyone thought we were insane. Nobody agreed with us at all. Said Tio's going to walk right through him. He's going to knock him out. It's going to be easy. But then I think with the delays and everything else, it just built into like he was just obviously in the gym grafting, improving, and like yeah, it all came to fruition. And I wish I put a bet on it. I wish I
Don't
had.
we all? Don't we all? Because I don't look. This is the thing. I entertain it myself. That look, this means more for George. I believe it means more for George than it means for Teofimo. I kind of feel like Teofimo's focused on the wrong things right now. He's thinking about everything but George, and the way that he came out, that it doesn't look like you have a game plan. It looks like you just thought you were going to knock him out in a round and go home. It kind of vindicates that notion. They're like, yeah, that's what they thought, and we see what happened.
Past him a little bit because there was lots of other exciting fights in the division. Like that division is very exciting at the moment. It's completely stacked. So, I think they kind of disregarded him and they looked past him, and that is the worst thing you can do, because it will always be the one that you've looked past will be the one that causes you problems. And you hate it to be right, but it's so true. Like, it's just so true.
Joshua Ruiz. It happened. Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson. It happens. Leon Spinks, Muhammad Ali. It's a recurring theme in the sport, and it happened. It's crazy. But just, all right, beyond that, all right, we talked about that. It's my understanding you're also a musician. It's my understanding you're also a bassoonist.
Yes.
So what came first, being a bassoonist or being a boxer?
Music came first. I didn't actually box until I was like 21. So 21, 22. So then that was just for fitness in classes. Music has always been part of my life. Like, my mum was very musical, and me and my two sisters were all encouraged to play instruments. And I went in to do my undergraduate at the conservatoire in Glasgow, and then moved to London. I studied there. So it's always been my first love, and it came first. And everyone always asks, which do you like more? But I think boxing is a finite sport, so it's one that it will eventually end, to the chance to perform in the ring. That will eventually end. Whereas with music, I can have this my whole life and I'll be able to perform for much, much longer. So, right now, my main focus is becoming undisputed, unifying the division. That's what I want to do, and go as far as I can as a boxer. But I know that music will always be there for me.
That being said, which one would you say was more difficult for you, being a bassoonist or being a boxer?
So, funny enough, I used to really suffer quite badly from performance anxiety as a soloist on stage. With an orchestra, I was great, but as a soloist, I used to find it really, really hard. And when I started boxing gave me a confidence that actually I then took back to the stage. So it was funny that they both helped each other hand in hand. And when I did my final recital at college, at the Royal Academy of Music here, my coach Noel Callan, he actually came and we ran it like a boxing match. So each round, between each piece, I came back, between each round, I went out, we did some breathing, had some water, I went back out and I performed, and it was just like I'd been in the ring, and it really, really helped me. So I think both have their stresses. Obviously, you can't get knocked out in a concert. If someone's knocked you out in a concert, it's gone drastically wrong. But it's very much about, it's your own personal emotions. Like, I was always told I wear my heart on my sleeve in music, and it's very true. I want people to like how I'm performing. I want people to like what I'm trying to get across in the music. So it's very personal. It's very emotional. Whereas when I'm in the ring, I'm more concerned about getting knocked out or doing something stupid. So it's a different sort of pressure, a different sort of stress, really.
What's your favorite thing about being a bassoonist? Favorite thing about being a boxer?
So my favorite thing about being a bassoonist is that I love to play with opera orchestras or ballet orchestras. So we're in the pit underneath the stage, and then all the magical stuff happens up above you, but you're the thing that's making it exciting. And it's kind of like that excitement of all the lights go down, everything dims, the whole place goes quiet, and you're under here creating the magic. So that's my favorite thing about being a bassoonist. Also, I really like making people feel an emotion, feel something, I do a lot of work I have a wind quintet, and we do a lot of work in care homes and in schools. And in care homes, we work with people who they're living with Alzheimer's and dementia. So often we can really they have a real positive effect to us playing. And it's sometimes really nice for the nurses and the care workers there to see somebody that normally isn't very attentive or doesn't really want to take part in things will suddenly open up, and we'll see this new person, this character come out. And that's a special part of it for me.
Favorite thing about being a boxer?
Best thing about being a boxer? There's so many different things to learn. I love it. Like, I'm never going to learn everything. And I think that's what makes me excited about it. There's all these different styles. You're always going to come up against somebody who does something that a little bit different in the ring, different challenges, all of that. And I love to go and, I love watching all the old fights, seeing how all the different styles played out. And yeah, it's just different things that I can add to my game, but knowing that there's always going to be a continual bit coming through. Everyone's got new ideas and new things that you can learn and you can try out. And if it works for you, keep it. If it doesn't, throw it away, So that's the kind of thing I like about it.
Now, least favorite thing about being a bassoonist, least favorite thing about being a boxer.
Least favorite thing about being a bassoonist is when people go, "Oh, it'd be great for your CV. Just come down and play for free." That is not a thing. Like, musicians often get used like that. It's like, you would always pay your plumber or your electrician. Like, it's the same sort of thing. I'm an entertainer, so pay me. Don't assume that I want to do it for free. There's a lot of hard work and discipline that's gone into getting me to the level I'm at. So don't think you can just get it for free.
Okay.
And same thing for boxing, actually. Women's boxing, most frustrating thing is that we don't get paid the same. Like, I bleed the same, I sweat the same, I put as much passion and effort into my sport as a guy does, but then I don't get paid the same as him. So yeah, that's my one thing about the 3-minute rounds, is why I want it to be threes, because then there's no division. You can't say I'm doing less work, so pay me less.
What do you think that has held the sport back in the past that is changing now, to where there's actually a renaissance in the United Kingdom of fighters over there? Really a renaissance in all of Europe, because they're coming from all over Europe, right? What's different now that's changing things that was not there before?
I think platforms, different like streaming platforms, so people can actually watch fights. Like, obviously, I'm working with Fight Zone at the moment. And they're a brand new platform here in the UK, and they're branching out across the world. They've got one coming up in Canada soon, actually. So, and you can tune in to watch it there. So, yeah, it's exciting, and it means that small hall fighters, so girls when they're starting out, it's quite expensive for us to get opponents, because especially in the UK, it's not that many of us still. So most of our opponents come from like Europe or other places abroad. So it's expensive. And whereas if people can just tune in to watch you on a platform, they can see how exciting you are, and it gives you that chance to showcase your skills. That wasn't around before. You didn't have a way of proving to people that you were exciting to watch before they had to buy a ticket to come and watch you. Whereas they could pay $4.99 on Fight Zone, see you fight, and be like, "Oh, I really want to watch her live," and then they buy a ticket from you, then they come along. So I think that's one of the main differences for us, and also people's attitudes of changing towards women fighting. I think they're less kind of like, I don't want to see women punching each other, and they kind of give us more credit. Like, the skill level has definitely increased with women in the Olympics. Like, you see these girls training for the Olympics are just as good as the guys, and that sort of talent is now coming into the pros, and it's really raised the bar in women's boxing.
Yeah, because I've always kind of looked at it as a bit of a marketing issue. Like, I was around for when Christy Martin was around. I was around for when Holly Holm was around. And I noticed that, at least to me, the biggest difference that I see is marketing. In boxing, between the both of them, you hear a lot about equal pay. And I feel like, the only way that the pay scale will be even is if the marketing is even, because where does the money come from? The fans. So what do you need? Fans.
Yeah, I think that also does play a part as well, with the fact that nowadays we can actually use social media. So like, you actually have a platform to promote yourself. I think boxing is one of the hardest sports in the world, because we actually we're not just the athlete, we're also our promoter. We're our own kind of like advertising person. We do everything. We sell tickets, we do all of that sort of stuff. And that's just to be able to fight on the night. You've got to sell a certain number of tickets to fight when you're starting out. And then if that doesn't happen, you don't fight. So you might go all the way through camp. You don't get paid for those 8 weeks or 10 weeks or whatever. And then you're hoping that at the end of it, it doesn't cancel last minute and you get paid. So yeah, I think it is down to the fighters a lot more these days to use these platforms. There are so many. Like, you have a professional page on Facebook, your own website. You can even have Instagram, Twitter, huge. And like, I always say that to new fighters, get on there, make it simple for people to find you, have your name, don't have some weird at 12345 monkey or something. Like people know it's you, and sell yourself, because at the end of the day, no one's going to do it for you. And that's what I've always found weird about promoters. Like, a promoter will promote a fight, but they won't promote you individually unless you're fighting a big fight or something. They're not out there to all of their fighters put out stuff for them. It's your job as the fighter.
That being said, you've had experiences. You've been in there with many very good fighters. What advice would you give yourself now that you're a world champion? What advice would you have given yourself then if you could get in a time machine and talk to Hannah Rankin when she was first going pro? What would you have told her?
To be honest, I thought about this lots, actually. People said, would you change how things went? Would you have done anything differently? And actually, all of the stuff I've done in my career and had to do myself with me and my team, and not having a promotional team behind me, not coming from the Olympic background and all of that sort of stuff, all the things I've learned from that and all the challenges I took abroad, especially in America. My very first fight with Alicia Napoleon was one of the best decisions I ever made, because it helped me start to build a fan base in America. It also opened my eyes to the whole world of like what it is to do press conferences, all that sort of stuff. I learned so much from it. So I probably wouldn't change any aspect of that. If I had a time machine, I would go way back to when I was a kid and start boxing at an amateur club. 100%. That's what I would definitely do. And people always say, oh, because you didn't come from it, would you say to fighters, oh, don't do the amateur route? That's not true at all. I would, if I had a kid, I'd definitely put them into the amateur scene, because there's things I would love to be able to do, like, that I would have done if I started when I was 10, 11 or 12 or something. And it's stuff that I'm having to constantly work out in the gym now, because I haven't got that grounding from when I was a kid. So if I have a kid, they'll definitely go into the amateur system.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned Alicia Napoleon. I last saw Alicia Napoleon in action against Sweden's Elin Cederroos.
Yes.
A fight that is a possibility, or at least it was supposed to be back when Triller had the rights to yesterday's fight, was Cederroos versus Franchon Cruz. And that's
I want that fight.
I want that fight. It's the best fight in the division. I don't know if it's going to happen, because I don't know where they are with the fight right now. It doesn't, it looks like it completely fizzled out. But had it happened, who would you have edged to win that fight?
So I was actually really excited about that fight, because I couldn't really pick a winner. Like, they both have different attributes that work so well. Ellen, I've sparred with Ellen before, and she's very, she's got very long punches, very long arms, and she is so diligent with her preparation. She's got like super focused on what she wants to achieve, and and she hits hard as well. It would be a good fight. She's just a bit slower. I think Franchon's got that head movement, the American style, which is what often causes problems for other fighters. For the UK European style coming across to America, it's the head movement, maybe using a Philly shell, like little changes like that, which cause us problems over here. You see it all the time. And I think also Franchon is very aggressive. She'll push the pace, she'll pressure, and and she can punch as well. So it's kind of, it was a real 50-50 fight for me, and I can't understand why someone hasn't sorted it out. It was going to be a great one for the division.
I mean, this is the thing. I learned my lesson with Elin because I underestimated her with Alicia Napoleon. I picked Alicia to win the fight. I'm like, well, Alicia's fought better girls. Elin transitioned from a different sport, so I don't really know what to make of her. Then I saw the fight, and I was like, yo, dog, like, she knocked into the rope. It was a great fight, but Elin proved me wrong. So now I'm thinking, well, I can't look past her. She's very big for the division. She has power. But I look at Franchon, I'm like, Franchon, she's got that overhand right. Elin, she's got that European style to where she stands very upright, and you're there for the shots. So, real 50-50 fight. I really hope they make it. I don't know if they are. One thing I want to ask you about. Christina Hammer's back. She's supposed to be fighting next month. How do you like her chances against either one of them?
So I obviously think that she, like you said, she's definitely going to come into the super middleweight division. I think with Ellen, she's more Ellen's more kind of robotic, I suppose. She's very, very upright, and that style would probably gel better with Christina Hammer. But Christina's got very fast, beautiful jab. She's very quick. She's technically very good, and her long straight punches are quick. And I think that's the one thing Ellen has as a sort of negative, is that maybe she's consistent, but maybe a little bit slower doing it. So she has more power than Christina, but then I think Christina's faster and quicker and lighter on her feet. So I think that would be a good fight. I think it would be an exciting matchup, and one that would be good if she was coming back to try and attempt to get a world title again. Whereas I don't think Franchon and Christina match up at all. No, it'd be...
Yeah.
And also, I don't think Christina's gonna want that fight, because Franchon is, like I said, she's a pressure fighter. She's gonna come forward. She's gonna throw loads of punches, like Clarissa did when she fought her. And so I don't think that Christina's gonna want to get back in with somebody that's going to do that sort of thing again.
The way I see it, she's with Wasserman now, which is a great outfit, by the way. It's a major promotional outfit. They've got platform and network buddies. They can put her on the fight. But I do get the sense that, okay, now, they're going to base her out of Germany, the way that she's been. They're not going to fly her over to America because they learned from their mistake. Yeah. They're likely targeting Aline Cedar-Ruz. And when I thought about it, I thought about what you said. Well, she has a great jab, actually. So it's winnable. It's weird because Cedar-Ruz versus Cruz, 50-50. Yeah. But Hammer versus Cedar-Ruz, 60-40 in favor of Christina Hammer. Do you see it that way?
I think so. The thing about Ellen being quite a slow puncher, right? The problem that Alicia had was Alicia had slipped and come back in to get hit with that shot. But before the shot landed. So she'd been so quick, she'd been too quick, and she'd gone out and come straight back in and got hit with the shot. And so I think sometimes that's what catches people off guard when they're fighting her, because they expect the punch to have already happened, but it's still coming, and it's coming with direct force, and then you go straight into it. So it's one of those things where I think with her and Christina, I think Christina will be ahead at half time, halfway through, but then it'll be how she reacts to the power from Ellen later in the second half of the fight. I think she taking those punches from Ellen, if Ellen lands a big right hand or starts to drops down to the body or something, she might not be able to handle it so well, because a lot of power coming behind it. So it is, for me, that's a more kind of 50-50 fight. I think it's exciting.
I feel like because Christina reminds me of Vladimir Klitschko a little bit, that her money punch is her lead punch. Her jab is her lead hand. And I feel like with Aline, yes, she's got a quality right, and she has power. She's very big, very durable for the division. But she won't get to shoot that right hand if she's getting jabbed to death by Christina, which is kind of what I see. That Christina doesn't really commit to her shots. She flicks the jab, moves around, but that's her money punch, the jab. Yeah. Not even the big right hand or the uppercut or the left hook. It's the jab.
Yeah. So the thing is, she can control the fight with that jab. Yes. And it'll be whether or not Ellen can actually quicken up her pace enough to cut her off to create an opening for herself. And I think that's what's going to be the interesting side to it. But it's whether, I know Christina will be super fit if that fight was to ever happen, and so will Ellen, but it'll just be whether or not she's got the speed with her footwork to keep her moving, keep using that jab, keep the range. Yeah, like I said, it is an exciting fight.
All right, Russ Pettit says, I'm friends with Paul Hayden, who is an amazing jazz bassoonist. Have you ever played any jazz?
No, I've not done jazz, apart from we had one situation where I was on tour with an orchestra in Mauritius, and which was an amazing tour, by the way, one of the coolest things that ever happened. But we go out there, they don't have an orchestra, but they have a jazz band. And we came to see the jazz band and played some stuff with them, and then they said, oh, now you guys are going live on air. And we're like, what, live on what air? They're like, oh, we put you on the radio. We're just going to jam together. And I was like, what? And there was one point when the guy turns around to me and he goes, it's your moment, your turn to improvise. And I'm thinking, this is going out live on radio. I'm not a musician that's improvising things. I'm normally reading music off the page. Oh, a very stressful situation. I was like, that's my one and only foray into jazz. That's it. Never again.
All right, I got a spicy question. Next year, well, if Katie makes it through Firuza Sharapova, who I know is a good stick and move fighter, but quality opposition hasn't been the best. I think she's kind of in over her head in this fight. I like Katie to win the fight. But if Katie wins the fight the way I expect it to, Amanda Serrano next year, spring, what are your thoughts?
That fight has to happen. It just has to happen. Like, for all female fighters out there, we all want that fight. It's one of those exciting fights. For me, I think Amanda wins that. And I think it's because, yes, I do. Like, she's quick, she's fast, but Amanda Serrano, she's got power in those punches. She's just, she'll set up the things that she needs to do. She's no mug. Like, she wouldn't be in the position she's in by now if she was, and she's focused on that fight and has been mentally focused on that fight for a really, really long time. And I think, we'll just see a real class come out from her. Like, Katie's fast and puts her punches together quickly, but there's not as much power as Amanda's got. Amanda's got the power. And she's a southpaw. So, yeah, a tricky one for Katie, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because I watched Amanda's last fight. She fought Yamileth Mercado, who moved up in weight for the fight, and definitely had the power in that fight. There's no question that she was a bigger puncher than Yamileth, but that was 126, Katie, that's 135. I'm like, I don't know. And she has knocked people out at 135. She knocked out an Argentinian champion at 135.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about it, Katie's a harder target, though. She is harder to hit than most of the girls that you fought. So that's going to take something off of the power. You're not going to land as often as you have in the past with other girls. So I don't know, man. I just want to see the fight.
I don't see like, sometimes Katie puts the pressure on and she'll move, I don't see Amanda standing off. I don't see her going on the back foot. I think she'll just fight fire with fire. I think she's going to get in there and she'll be smart about it, but she's not going to get pushed back and moved around and, be put under pressure. I think she's going to control it quite well. But like you said, up to 135, does she take the power with her, with Katie? I think so.
Not another spicy question, another very spicy fight. Sky Sports has invested in Clarissa Shields. She's with boxing now. Savannah Marshall's over there. What do you think about that fight? I feel like Savannah brings a lot of tools to the table that you don't often come across. She's ambidextrous. She can fight as a southpaw. She can fight as an orthodox fighter. She's very tall, very long, packs a punch. But Clarissa, very fast, very good jab, very good feet. You know what I mean? Very good, stays off the line.
Yeah.
How do you see that fight?
So for me, like I've said multiple times, I see Clarissa winning that fight. And there's loads of reasons for it. But I think in the lead up to the fight, there's going to be a lot of pressure on Savannah. And Clarissa is very happy to use social media as a platform to build a fight. She's very happy to have her opinion put out there, and I'm sure she's going to be pretty loud about it. And she'll be trash talking and building it up, and that's what I love about her. And when we had our build up to the fight, it was great, because she found somebody a sparring partner. I suppose it was going to give it straight back. But I do think, like you said, her footwork, her speed. I think it's going to be really important in this fight. She's also got a fantastic ring IQ. She's so intelligent in the ring. I've sparred with her multiple times since we fought and all of that. We're really good friends now. And I just think that's going to edge it for her. And I think she's going to be the one to control what's going on. Savannah does punch. And like you said, she's ambidextrous. She does move around. And it'll be what happens if she lands one of those big punches on Clarissa. Because Carissa's only had one flash knockdown with Hannah Gabriel's, and like I said, it's a flash knockdown. I think it was more balance than anything. So I feel like, it'll be interesting to see if Savannah manages to time one of those big punches, how Clarissa takes the punch. But like I said, she's very experienced, been in with up at 168 fighting and back down to 154. She's been all the way between them. So yeah, for me, she wins the fight, but it's a really exciting fight for women's boxing. And actually, I'm very happy. I mean, no offense, but I'm glad that it's going to be here in the UK. Sorry for you guys.
No, I mean, look, as long as the main thing is getting them paid. And if Sky is willing to put up the money to do the fight, then that's great. Yeah. Now, different type of question, same subject. If you're in Savannah's corner, What do you tell her to do to Clarissa? What are the keys to victory? Same question for Clarissa. What do you do to Savannah?
I'm not answering that question right now. Well done for trying. But yeah, no, I'm not answering that question because when that fight happens, I'm hoping that, I'll be involved in some commentary for that. And I'll give my opinion closer to the time.
Okay. Oh, I completely understand professional duties. It's an excellent fight. It's a great fight. Michaela Mayer and what was supposed to be Michaela Mayer and Terry Harper. We all know what happened. Alicia Baumgardner came in, big knockout. How do you view Harper? How do you view Baumgardner versus Mayer?
So when that fight was made with Terry and Alicia, I was like, why? Why, as a voluntary defense, why? I'm going to repeat that again. A voluntary defense. Why Alicia Baumgardner? Because she's a puncher. She's got that American style, hands down. She moves, and Terry's never been in with anybody like that. She doesn't spar people like that. She's never been in with anyone like that. She's been out for 15 months with a hand injury. No one would have begrudged her coming back and doing an 8-rounder to see how the hand was. She could have had an 8-rounder, then come in for a defense. I just think it was a really strange choice of opponent from her team. Because everybody that I've spoken to in America said, Baumgardner punches. She can punch. And I was like, Terry's already been wobbled by Tash Jonas when they had that fight. So if Baumgardner can punch, that's a real dangerous thing to be taking on as your first defense of your world titles. I just thought really, really bad matchmaking, in my opinion. But
I mean, look, yeah, because I praised her for taking I thought it was you got to give her. I gave Terry credit just for taking the fight because it's just like you said, this is a voluntary. Why would you, why would you have chosen her as a voluntary? This is not going to be easy.
I do massive props to her for taking someone of that sort of caliber, a real risk, and you don't want easy fights. I get that. But then also, Terry's quite young. She's got to listen to her team and the people around her. And why were they advising that as a comeback fight after 15 months off? That was a hard fight at the best of times, and you've been out of the ring 15 months. I don't know. I really felt for her actually because I was so glad the referee stepped in when he did because she was literal meaning of out on your feet.
Yes.
And I've never seen that before. Literally just poised there, right there.
Her left leg stuck out. I talked about it with Kaylee Reese that when I saw her left leg pop out, I was like, yo, dog, she's out on her feet. She's literally out. And
she's out. And it's a really hard place for her to come back from because, people saying, oh, she should do the rematch. And I'm thinking, no, don't stay away from that rematch.
Yes.
And then other people are saying, oh, she's going to step up in weight. Does she have the power to step up the weight class? Or does she try and go down another route?
I mean, I think the best thing for her to do is just get back out there against the lighter touch like you were supposed to. Put distance between yourself and what happened, but get back out there and do what you do best and remind yourself you're a good fighter. You're a very good fighter. You just, you messed up this time, but it's okay. It happens, though. It happens. It's all right.
I hope she's having a good break, and I think she really needed it. It's because she's been off for so long, but it's also been that focus of maintaining her mental sort of, maintaining herself in the gym. She's been working really hard. I also felt that she looked quite pale on the night. I felt that when she came out, she hadn't really fully rehydrated. I felt like she was just lacking a bit of something, and I was just like, well, maybe she didn't fully refuel after the weigh-in and stuff like that. She looked very, very pale. So
and I didn't know how to. I noticed it myself. I didn't know how to interpret it because that could mean many things. Maybe she didn't have a good sweat in the locker room, so she's coming out dry. I don't know. Maybe it was a hard cut. Maybe it's just the moment getting to her. It's so many things. But I'm like, yo, the decision to fight Alicia, which was great for Alicia, who I'm very happy for. I've said it many times. I've been watching her for years, and I've been saying, yo, she's an excellent boxer. The second she gets a chance, she's going to do big things. And she did big things. But just looking at both sides of it, it's like, yo, why on earth did anyone think that this was a good idea?
I know. And that's a shame because that's the kind of fight that can really upset a career. She's worked so hard to get those titles and to that point there. And then to have them taken away where after such a long layoff as well. She's now got to build confidence back and then get back in the ring and stuff like that. But massive props to Alicia. Like I was, she was impressive and she was so focused and so on it the whole way through. Like just that quiet confidence. Like she had that, and then she made it known in the press conference. She let everyone know I'm taking those belts, and that's what I like about her. Her character shone through, and that's why I like it when American fighters come over here. And I love going to America to fight because I like people to put it out on the line and say what they think, and no, don't be like polite and humble about this and that. Just like say what you think. So
I mean, you know what it is? It makes it's kind of like I feel like it's ill-advised to do it, but it makes for great television, which makes for great sport. It's you look at all the trash talk ahead of last night's fight, right?
Yeah.
And it makes for great TV. But in hindsight, it was ill-advised for them to carry on. Like, y'all shouldn't have did that. Like, look at what happened there.
You got to back yourself. If you don't back yourself, why are you getting in the ring? If you're not 100% certain that you're going in there to win it, why are you getting in the ring on fight night? And I think that's what people say, like, oh, you shouldn't be so overconfident, you shouldn't do this and shouldn't do that. And it's like, well, actually, I believe I'm going to win. So why should I not say that I believe I'm going to win?
That's true. I mean, it's so wild. Like that's what makes boxing different from so many other sports. There's just so many different angles to it. It's not a game. You know, it's not a game in any capacity. And there's just so much there to reflect upon. Like, yo, dog, y'all took a year off. Y'all should have had this fight right after the Loma fight. That's what y'all should have did. Y'all took this year off, and you look past this guy, and you were still, to me, it feels like they were still in that moment where they had just beat Vasyl Lomachenko, when the truth is you have a very hungry contender that's in front of you, not Vasyl Lomachenko. That fight is over. This fight is here, and you still thinking about that fight.
Yeah, I think, like, obviously, like, I always say to people, boxing is 50% sport, 50% entertainment. Like, you're 50% into the entertainment industry. Like, the whole build-up and everything, how you portray yourself, how you sell yourself, how people see you is really important because, like, I'm never going to be Derek Chisora and throw tables at press conferences. But, like, I'm not going to sit there and be meek and mild and not say something. So it's how you, like, showcase yourself to the world, because you're going to be on the world stage, especially when you're fighting for world titles, and people are watching from everywhere. So it's, how do you handle yourself for that? And I think that will play a big part, like I said, for the Clarissa and Savannah fight, because, it's really important. You're building a fight. People want to come and watch it. It's an exciting fight anyway, but you've got to, if your opponent's mouthing off and saying all this stuff, you better have a response. You better have something to say. Otherwise, how Mike Tyson always said, it's won or lost, before, like when you stand on the scales and you look at your opponent, and then, and I totally agree with that. If there's been a big build-up, a lot of things said, who's confident and who's not.
Now, I got to ask you about your division. In the event that by some chance next year, it's Marie-Eve Dicaire, after she picks up the IBF the way I think she will.
Yeah.
Marie-Eve Dicaire, Patricia Bergoult. Based on what you know, who would win that fight between them?
Dicaire.
Really?
Yeah.
I kind of like the activity from Bergoult. I feel like she can make Dicaire uncomfortable. But what I like about Dicaire, good set of feet, good set of legs, good jab. She's quick. She's not as quick as Clarissa, but she is quick. She has her own kind of speed.
And she's quite good in the clinch as well. So like she knows what she's doing, and she's a southpaw. Southpaws have that horrible advantage just because they're different. They make everyone's life a misery. But that's their job. I do think Dicaire wins that one. I think she's bigger in the ring on fight night as well.
Yeah, I saw Patricia this weekend. She was fighting Belkacem. Belkacem looked like the bigger girl, but it was really just height. At the weigh-in. Yeah, it was really just height. It wasn't weight.
She's a welterweight, really, anyway. So, like, she stepped up for the fight. She's not a super welter. So, yeah.
Now, one thing that really it chaps my ass because I don't get to keep up with the ranks. Everybody else has ranks except the WBO. Do you know anything? Yeah, because I'm like, who's gonna win that? Because I don't imagine Clarissa's gonna keep it. Clarissa's up at middleweight. She's gonna keep the belts that she has up there. So
I think she gets to keep both until she fights again at middleweight, and then that belt becomes a vacant belt. I think, but then like she's the undisputed champion in these weight classes. She's fought in all three of them. So she's a pound for pounder. She's on the pound for pounder list, so she has the opportunity to keep both titles. She's going to keep both those titles.
That's the thing. I know I've seen the WBO do this, where that you'll have a WBO champion goes to a different division, and when they win the title, they put them on the spot. They'll ask him, "Which one do you want to keep?" And I'm like, I feel like it's going to be like the way you said it. That all right, her very next fight, when she ends up fighting Emma Kozin, who I think she's going to beat, they're going to put her on the spot. They're going to say, okay, well, which one do you want to keep? Do you want to keep the one from 160, or do you want to keep the one from 154? And my issue is, because the WBO doesn't have ranks, who becomes the WBO champion after that? Because I don't know who they're ranking.
Well, she doesn't have the WBO 160 because that's what Savannah has.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'm wild. I forgot. Yeah. You're
so
right.
Savannah has that one. And so she currently has the WBO in 154. And I feel that obviously for them, they're keeping her as their champion because, it's great for them to have Clarissa Shields as their champion and also have Savannah as their champion. So, they're playing the game on both sides there.
That makes perfect sense.
The WBO don't do rankings. I don't know why. I don't understand why. It's really confusing. All of the other ones do rankings now, and it's important because women's boxing is really growing, and I think the WBO will have to catch up at some point. But I just think that they've not really bothered yet.
One last question before I let you go, because I know you're very busy. Australia's own shotgun Shannon O'Connell. How much do you know about her, and how do you like her chances against the winner of Mitchell versus Courtney? Because she's ranked number 1 with the WBA. So it's conceivable that at some point next year, she gets a shot. How do you like Shannon's chances against Jamie? How do you like Shannon's chances against Shannon?
So I think that we should watch out for Australia right now, currently in the current climate, considering they're all going to be on an absolute high. Australia has firmly been put on the map again for boxing, which is a big thing for them. Scotland was just ahead, obviously, with what's been going on in our country. We've been flying recently. But two countries, not normally talked about as much. We've always had a great boxing tradition in Scotland, but I haven't really known about that much from Australia. So they're going to be flying. So I think she's going to come in with loads of confidence. She's a good fighter, and quite explosive as well. So
yes.
Yeah, I think Jamie she's got really good boxing skills. I'm just not sure if she's got the power to keep her off. I think she's got the reach. I just don't think she has the power to stop Shannon coming in. Shannon Courtney, I don't know what to say about that one really. It'll depend whether or not how she comes back from that knee injury and stuff. If we get her back to sort of that really nice head movement, the little ins and outs and stuff, that'd be a good fight. I think that'd be a really good fight. But
I think she better stay away from her. If she beats Jamie, you better stay away from Shannon, because that's different. I've been watching this woman, and she's beating all these unbeaten fighters. Leave her alone. Let her stay on her straight. Leave her alone, B. Don't even look at her. Leave her alone, because it's all bad. It's all bad.
Considering how well Jamie won that fight, she could have missed. And so that's not, that's why I felt like Shannon Courtney was a bit off her game, because she was taking shots that I was surprised to see her taking.
The first couple of rounds, she lays on the ropes. Normally she moves, but she just laid on the ropes, covering up and getting hit. And that's how I knew the leg thing can't be, because she came out there with a huge leg brace. So you knew that something something is wrong. She's wearing a leg brace. I don't think that happens in a rematch. I could actually see her winning the rematch. So what happens after that?
Yeah, but like I said, I think she should probably stay away from.
Stay away from Shannon. Hannah, it was great to have you on. I look forward to having you on again sometime.
Thank you very much for having me.
Look forward to unification matches. If you get a unification match, you come here. You tell me all about it. All right?
I will, for sure.
Thank you very much for your time.
No problem. Thank you for having me.